Picture this: October 18th, 1081. The Adriatic coast trembles near Dyrrhachium. The Byzantine Empire, heir to Rome itself, stands on a knife's edge. Emperor Alexios III Komnenos, newly crowned and desperate, surveys an army stitched together from survival. Axe-wielding Varangians, weary Greek infantry, Turkic horsemen bought with gold the empire no longer has. Behind him lies Constantinople. Ahead of him, annihilation, because across the field waits something new. Something terrifying. The Normans, Viking blood in their veins, mercenaries turned kings. Led by Robert Guiscard, the most dangerous warlord in Europe. At his signal, 1,300 armored knights explode forward, not skirmishing, not probing, but charging like a living avalanche. Lances smash, shields splinter, the earth shakes beneath iron hooves, arrows blacken the sky, axes bite through mail. And when Norman lines falter, Guiscard's wife, Sikelgaita, armored like a warrior queen, rides among them screaming defiance, dragging men back into the slaughter. Alexios fights. He adapts. He gambles everything, and still the line breaks. By sunset, 5,000 Byzantines lie dead. The emperor flees. The western gates of the empire stand exposed. This was not just a battle. This was the moment the Byzantine world realized something terrifying. The enemies of Rome were no longer barbarians at the gates. They were professional conquerors, forged by war, ambition, and blood. What followed was a brutal, forgotten struggle. Norman invasions, imperial desperation, shattered alliances, a conflict that weakened Byzantium, destabilized Europe, and helped light the fuse of the Crusades themselves. This is the Byzantine-Norman Wars, a story of betrayal, survival, and empires bleeding out in the shadows. Stay with me, because the conquest has only just begun. Part 1. Setup. Normans rise, Byzantines teeter. Wind the clock back to the early 11th century, and the balance of the medieval world is already tilting. The Byzantine Empire, the last living heir of Rome, still glitters with ceremony, law, and memory. Constantinople dazzles foreign visitors with gold mosaics and towering walls. Imperial banners fly from the Balkans to southern Italy. But beneath the silk and incense, the empire is bleeding. Decades of near-constant warfare have hollowed it out. In the east, Arab Emirates and later Turkic raiders gnaw at Anatolia. In the north, Pecheneg and Balkan invasions drain armies and coin. The old thematic system, farmer soldiers defending their own land, erodes, replaced by costly mercenaries and unreliable allies. Basil II, the fearsome Bulgar slayer, holds it all together by sheer force of will. But when he dies in 1025, the dam bursts. Weak emperors follow. Court factions plot. Generals rebel. Gold meant for armies flows instead into palaces and pageantry. Far from Constantinople, another force is rising. Unexpected, violent, unstoppable. The Normans are not kings yet. They are landless younger sons, descendants of Vikings who settled in Normandy and learned Frankish cavalry warfare to lethal perfection. They fight for pay, glory, and land, and they are very good at it. By the 1030s, small bands of Norman pilgrims pass through southern Italy on their way home from holy shrines. They see opportunity. Lombard princes hire them as muscle against Byzantine governors. The Byzantines, confident and complacent, hire them too. It is a fatal mistake. The Normans do not serve quietly. Led by the ruthless and brilliant Hauteville family, William Iron Arm, Drogo, Humphrey, and later the most dangerous of all, Robert Guiscard, they turn mercenary contracts into permanent footholds. One castle becomes two. One county becomes a duchy. By mid-century, Apulia and Calabria are slipping from Byzantine control, not through grand invasions, but through relentless, grinding conquest. The empire tries to respond, sending armies from across the sea, but it is stretched thin. Then comes Manzikert, 1071, a catastrophe. The Byzantine army shatters against the Seljuk Turks. Anatolia, the empire's manpower and breadbasket, begins to collapse. Suddenly, the Normans are no longer a nuisance on the western fringe. They are a mortal threat. Politics make it worse. The papacy, locked in struggle with the Holy Roman emperors, finds the Normans useful. Rome blesses their conquests. In 1059, the Pope recognizes Norman rule in southern Italy, turning former mercenaries into legitimate lords. Byzantium is isolated, attacked in the east by Turks, undermined in the west by papally sanctioned conquerors. By the time Alexios I Komnenos seizes the throne in 1081, the situation is dire. The treasury is empty, the army is fractured, and across the Adriatic, Robert Guiscard is no longer content with Italy. He wants the ultimate prize. The road to Constantinople lies open, and the Italian spark is about to become an imperial firestorm. Part 2. Conquest of Italy. From mercenaries to masters. 1040s-1071. What begins as hired steel becomes a revolution in power. In the 1040s, Norman warbands, numbering only in the hundreds, face the full authority of Byzantium in southern Italy. The empire still believes discipline and tradition will prevail. It is wrong. At Olivento, 1041, and Montemaggiore, 1041, Norman cavalry tears through Byzantine forces that rely on rigid formations and unreliable mercenaries. These are not mere victories. They are proof of a new military reality. Shock cavalry, relentless charges, and fearless cohesion shatter armies twice their size. From this chaos rises a towering figure. Robert Guiscard, illiterate, cunning, ruthless, and brilliant. Chroniclers call him Guiscard, the fox, for his mix of brutality and guile. While rivals squabble, Robert consolidates. By 1058, he has seized Calabria, driving Byzantine garrisons into fortified ports and mountain redoubts. He marries strategically, betrays without hesitation, and rewards loyalty with land carved from imperial flesh. Then comes the moment that changes everything. June 18th, 1053. The Battle of Civitate. A grand coalition assembles against the Normans. Papal troops, Lombard levies, and Byzantine-backed forces, over 6,000 strong, march to annihilate the upstart warriors. Facing them, barely 3,000 Normans. The result is catastrophic for the old order. Norman cavalry smashes the coalition line in a series of devastating charges. Infantry collapses, command disintegrates, and in an unimaginable humiliation, Pope Leo IX himself is captured alive. This is no small footnote in history. It is seismic. The Pope, treated with outward respect but undeniable captivity, emerges changed. Within years, Rome reverses course. Instead of opposing the Normans, the papacy legitimizes them. In 1059, Pope Nicholas II formally recognizes Norman rule in southern Italy, granting Robert Guiscard the title Duke of Apulia and Calabria, and sanctioning further conquest, including Sicily. With divine approval secured, the floodgates open. By the 1060s, Byzantine resistance in Italy is collapsing. One by one, their strongholds fall, not through massive invasions, but through sieges, bribery, and attrition. The final blow lands in 1071, when Bari, the last Byzantine capital in Italy, surrenders after a grueling siege. Nearly 5 centuries of Roman rule in Italy end not with ceremony, but with exhaustion and silence. Simultaneously, the Normans strike south. Roger Hauteville, Robert's brother, wages a brutal but methodical campaign in Sicily, wresting the island from Muslim rule city by city. Palermo falls. Messina becomes a Norman gateway. The conquest brings wealth, naval power, and a multicultural kingdom that blends Latin, Greek, and Arab traditions. An administrative marvel born of conquest. The consequences are immense. Byzantium loses its last western provinces, severing its historic connection to Italy. Imperial prestige shatters. If Rome can lose Italy, nothing is untouchable. The Normans evolve from mercenaries into kings and empire builders. A new Mediterranean power emerges, aggressive, ambitious, and hungry. And hunger drives them east. Across the Adriatic lies a wounded empire, still reeling from Manzikert. Constantinople gleams, but its defenses are thinner than they appear. Robert Guiscard does not see the Queen of Cities as sacred. He sees it as the ultimate prize. The age of Italian conquest is over. The age of imperial invasion is about to begin. Part 3. Guiscard's Grand Invasion. Balkans ablaze. 1081 to 1085. This was no raid. This was an imperial gamble. The fuse is lit in 1078, when chaos consumes Constantinople. Emperor Michael VII, Ducas, is overthrown, and his young son, Constantine Ducas, betrothed to Robert Guiscard's daughter Helena, is cast aside, imprisoned, and politically erased. To Guiscard, this is more than a broken engagement. It is a stolen claim, a personal insult, and a golden excuse. He declares himself the avenger of a wronged emperor, and quietly prepares to take Byzantium itself. In May 1081, the Norman juggernaut rolls east. A massive armada, around 150 ships, carrying up to 30,000 men, including 1,300 elite Norman knights, crosses the Adriatic. The first prize falls quickly. Corfu, the gateway to Greece, is seized. From there, Guiscard drives straight at Dyrrhachium, the key Byzantine port linking Italy to the Balkans. Whoever holds it controls the road to Thessalonica, and ultimately Constantinople. The siege begins. Towers rise, rams pound the walls. Alexios Wissai Komnenos, newly crowned and desperate, scrambles to respond. At sea, the balance briefly shifts. Venice, fearing Norman domination of Adriatic trade, enters the war on Byzantium's side. In a stunning naval battle, Venetian galleys annihilate much of the Norman fleet, using grappling hooks and incendiaries. The Adriatic is saved, But the land war is just beginning. October 18th, 1081. The Battle of Dyrrhachium. Alexios commits everything. Varangian guards with axes, Frankish mercenaries, Turkish horsemen, an army assembled in haste but driven by necessity. The clash is ferocious. The Varangians initially break the Norman left, slaughtering knights and chasing them too far. Then Guiscard counterattacks with disciplined cavalry charges. His wife, Sikelgaita, clad in armor and riding among the troops, famously rallies fleeing soldiers, brandishing a spear and shaming them back into line. The Byzantine army collapses. By nightfall, around 5,000 Byzantines lie dead. Alexios barely escapes. Dyrrhachium, starved and isolated, finally falls in February 1082. The Norman road into the Balkans is open. What follows is a terrifying advance. Norman armies push inland through Epirus and Macedonia. Cities like Castoria surrender. Imperial authority evaporates as local governors defect or flee. For a moment, it appears the Balkans, and perhaps Constantinople itself, will fall to Norman rule. But Alexios is no doomed emperor. Cornered, he unleashes a ruthless strategy. He melts church gold and sacred vessels to pay mercenaries. He buys time with diplomacy, bribing German princes, stirring rebellion in Italy, and exploiting Norman overreach. Most crucially, in 1083, he draws Bohemond, Guiscard's brilliant son, into a trap at Larissa. Cut off, harassed by Turkish horse archers, and starved of supplies, Bohemond is forced to retreat, the first major Norman setback. Guiscard rushes back east in 1084, determined to finish the conquest. He retakes Corfu, reasserts control, and prepares another drive into Greece. But the war has turned against him. Disease spreads through the camps, supplies fail, allies waver. Then fate intervenes. In July 1085, on the island of Cephalonia, Robert Guiscard, conqueror of Italy, terror of Byzantium, equal of kings, dies suddenly, likely from typhus or malaria. His death is catastrophic for the invasion. Without his iron authority, the Norman coalition fractures. Troops withdraw. Byzantine forces surge back, reclaiming lost cities and restoring imperial control over much of the Balkans. The invasion collapses, but its impact is permanent. Byzantium survives, but only by draining its treasury, militarizing diplomacy, and leaning heavily on foreign allies. The Normans, though checked, have proven the empire is vulnerable. Western knights now know the road to the east, and what riches lie there. And one man has learned the lesson better than any other. Bohemond of Taranto retreats, but he does not forget. In less than a decade, he will return, not as a Norman invader, but as a Crusader prince. The Byzantine-Norman wars do not end here. They evolve, and from their ashes, the Crusades are about to erupt. Part 4. Bohemon's Revenge. From Crusader to Invader, 1107 to 1108. If Robert Guiscard was the hammer, Bohemond of Taranto was the blade, sharper, more patient, and far more dangerous. After his father's death in 1085, Bohemond inherited not just Norman ambition, but a burning hatred for Byzantium and its emperor, Alexios III Komnenos. During the First Crusade, 1096 to 1099, Bohemond reinvented himself as a holy warrior, marching east under the cross while secretly pursuing the same old Norman dream, carving an empire from Byzantine flesh. When Antioch fell in 1098, Bohemond seized it for himself, in direct violation of the oaths sworn to Alexius, who had demanded all recovered Byzantine lands be returned. The betrayal was complete. By 1104, tensions explode. Alexios refuses to recognize Bohemond's rule over Antioch, branding him a perjurer and usurper. Bohemond, humiliated and furious, abandons the East, not in defeat, but to prepare revenge on a continental scale. He sails west and launches a propaganda war. In France and Italy, Bohemond spins a powerful lie. Byzantium, he claims, is treacherous, unchristian, and the true enemy of the Crusader cause. He paints Alexios as a false ally who sabotaged Christendom. The story spreads like wildfire. Knights rally, kings listen. Philip I of France offers tacit support. Henry V of England opens his coffers. Veterans of the Crusade flock to Bohemond's banner, believing they are marching not against fellow Christians, but against a corrupt Eastern Empire. By autumn 1107, Bohemond is ready. He lands at Valona, modern Vlore, Albania, with a hardened army and marches once more on Dyrrhachium, the same gateway his father shattered decades earlier. The symbolism is deliberate. This is not a raid. It is a declaration of unfinished conquest. But this time, Byzantium is ready. Alexios does not meet Bohemond in open battle. He has learned. Instead, he wages total war without fighting. Venetian fleets seal the Adriatic, strangling Norman supply lines. Byzantine forces shadow Bohemond's army, devastating the countryside ahead of him. Food vanishes. Horses die. Malaria and dysentery tear through the camps. Desertions mount. The Norman army bleeds, without a single decisive battle. By summer 1108, Bohemond is trapped outside Dyrrhachium, starving, isolated, and humiliated. His grand Crusader coalition collapses under the weight of logistics and Byzantine strategy. The would-be conqueror has no choice. In September 1108, Bohemond surrenders. The result is one of the most stunning diplomatic victories in medieval history, the Treaty of Devol. Stripped of rhetoric and glory, Bohemond is forced to kneel, not just in defeat, but in submission. He swears fealty to Alexios IV as a vassal, agreeing that Antioch is legally Byzantine territory to be ruled in the emperor's name. It is a complete reversal of Norman ambition, a written confession that the Crusader prince is, in law, a servant of Constantinople. Bohemond returns to Italy a broken man. He never sees Antioch again. He dies in 1111, his dreams of empire extinguished. Yet the damage is done. The Treaty of Devol will be ignored by Bohemond's successors, poisoning Byzantine Crusader relations for generations. Antioch becomes a symbol of betrayal, mistrust, and fractured Christendom. The Normans fail to conquer Byzantium, but they teach the West that the empire can be challenged, deceived, and weakened. The Byzantine-Norman wars fade into history, but their consequences do not. They reshape the Crusades. They harden East-West division. They prepare the ground for 1204 and the fall of Constantinople itself. The swords may fall silent here, but the echoes of this war will shake empires for centuries. Part 5. Aftermath and Legacy. Empires fractured. Crusades ignited. The battles end, but the consequences ripple across centuries. Byzantium survives Dyrrhachium and the Norman incursions, yet the empire emerges weakened. Its treasury drained by mercenary wages, ransomed cities, and the cost of defending the Balkans, the Eastern Roman Empire becomes increasingly vulnerable. The exhaustion of resources and manpower paves the way for future threats. The Mongol invasions to the east and the rise of the Ottomans, who will exploit the fractured Byzantine defenses centuries later. The Normans, though checked in their ambitions toward Constantinople, consolidate power in southern Italy and Sicily. Their Sicilian kingdom thrives culturally and economically, blending Latin, Byzantine, and Arab traditions into a unique medieval melting pot. Castles rise, cathedrals sparkle with mosaics, and trade flourishes. A Norman legacy that endures until the Hohenstaufen conquest in 1194. But perhaps the most enduring impact stretches beyond Europe's western borders. Bohemond of Taranto, taking the spoils of conquest from his father Robert Guiscard, carries his ambitions eastward to Antioch during the First Crusade. Alexius III appeals to Western Christendom for military aid, set the stage for a centuries-long East-West entanglement. Crusades, conflicts over the Levant and Assad, clash of cultures, faiths, and empires that will define medieval history. In Europe, the power balance shifts decisively. The Normans secure southern Italy. The papacy strengthens its influence over Italian politics, subtly weakening Byzantine authority in the region. Byzantium, meanwhile, survives but becomes increasingly reliant on diplomacy, mercenaries, and fragile alliances to defend its borders. Every Norman siege and Byzantine counterattack leaves scars, castles, fortifications, and cities rebuilt with hybrid architectural styles, testaments to the collision of cultures. The Byzantine-Norman wars may seem distant, forgotten battles to some, but their legacy endures. They reshape trade networks, influence military tactics, spark cross-cultural exchanges, and lay the groundwork for the Crusades. The fusion of Norman audacity and Byzantine sophistication echoes in the mosaics of Palermo, the fortresses of southern Italy, and the very streets of Constantinople. In short, these wars do more than change borders. They forge the contours of medieval Europe and the Mediterranean world, influencing art, architecture, religion, and politics for generations. The Normans retreat. Byzantium survives. But both empires, forever marked, pass their lessons to the future. Ambition can topple kings, resilience can save empires, and every clash leaves an imprint on history's canvas. Conclusion. And so, it ends. Or does it? The smoke of Dyrrhachium fades, but the echoes thunder across centuries. Byzantium survives, its walls battered but unbroken, yet weakened for the storms to come. The Normans retreat, their dreams of Constantinople denied, yet their audacity reshapes Italy and sparks a legacy of conquest and cultural fusion. From this clash, empires learn their limits. From Alexius's gold-stripped coffers to Bohemon's ambitions in Antioch, the stage is set for the Crusades, a chain reaction of faith, fury, and ambition that will engulf East and West alike. Europe trembles. The Mediterranean world is transformed. Trade routes, fortresses, alliances, everything altered. Lives lost, cities scarred, cultures entwined forever. This is the truth. History isn't made in peace. It's forged in fire, blood, and unyielding ambition. And the Byzantine-Norman Wars? They didn't just decide a border. They shaped the medieval world, ignited crusades, and left echoes that still beat in the heart of Europe and the Mediterranean today. So, when you walk through a Sicilian cathedral or gaze at the walls of Constantinople, remember, empires rise, fall, and leave their mark. The clash of steel, the roar of armies, the spark of ambition, that is how history becomes legend. History is alive, and it's watching you.